Welcome to the Lore Reforge. Today, we will talk about the Ringmaster, powerful magician. Let the story begin. They cheer, they laugh, they scream, but in the end, they always beg. He was never meant to entertain. The circus was never meant to travel, and yet show after show the Ringmaster returns, where joy rots into dread and applause is just the echo of despair. His name is whispered only by those who've seen the final act and lived. But most don't, because his circus doesn't visit your town. It visits you. He was not born. He was assembled. In a forgotten corner of existence far beyond the sight of the ancients and the order of the known realms, there lay a land cursed by madness. There, a congregation of deranged artificers and void-touched dreamers gathered, not to create life, but to forge a performance that could bend the fabric of reality. They sculpted a being of metal and shadow, stitched with the whispers of trapped spirits, fueled by a laughter that never felt joy. He had no heartbeat, no past, no choice, only a painted grin and a single eternal purpose. They named him the Ringmaster, not as a man, but as a mask, an identity passed down through forgotten generations of horror. The carnival he inherited was a monstrous procession of living nightmares parading through shattered dimensions, not for celebration, but for containment. Each tent housed a secret, each cage a forgotten god or broken myth. Screaming beasts disguised as clowns, illusions so vivid they peeled the sanity from the eyes of those who watched. And always at the center of it all stood him, smiling, gesturing, announcing. He was not their creator, but their warden, not a showman, but a jailer in silk and bells. But over time, the lines blurred. What began as duty twisted into obsession. He began to delight in the horror, in the terror on their faces, in the way the world would bend at the sound of his voice. And somewhere, deep within the gears of his hollow chest, something awakened. A question. Was he truly just a vessel, or had the mask become real? The Ringmaster had no origin. He was the story you were never meant to hear. The laugh in the dark when the tent flaps close, and the show always goes on. At first he merely ran the show. He stepped out to the sound of fanfare, twirling his cane beneath the gaslight glare. A grin stretched across his face like paint. A face the audience trusted, because it was easier than facing what lived behind the curtain. He was their Ringmaster, their guide through the madness. He smiled, he bowed, he lied. But there was one act, one forbidden act, never scheduled, never rehearsed. The cage had no lock. The beast had no name. It wasn't summoned. It was waiting. And when the cue was struck by mistake, the tent bent inward. Laughter turned to screams. The spotlights burned cold. A thing emerged, too vast for eyes, too loud for ears. It wasn't just part of the carnival. It was the carnival, and it had always been watching. The crowd ran, the clowns vanished, the music snapped like wires under pressure. But Ringmaster stood frozen, his smile cracking, his mind splintering. And then the thing didn't attack him. It didn't consume him. It entered him, through the eyes, the voice, the memories. It wore him like a second skin, and he felt it rewrite him line by line. For the first time, he wasn't the narrator. He wasn't in charge. He was on stage, and someone else held the script. And he broke, not in madness, but in clarity. In the silence after the horror, he saw the truth, that he had never controlled anything. The carnival wasn't his. The crowds weren't laughing with him. They were laughing at his delusion. But Ringmaster did not vanish. He didn't die in that tent. He walked away from it. Or rather, he rewrote the ending. He tore the horror from his body, not with spells, not with steel, but with will. And then, he made a choice no other man would dare. He did not cast the darkness out. He invited it in, merged with it willingly, bonded thought to thought, lie to lie, until neither the man nor the shadow could remember who was first. He became something new. The Ringmaster was no longer just a title. He became a force, a curator of chaos, a puppeteer who knows the strings he pulls are tangled in dimensions no god would touch. Now, every act is his to compose. Every soul who wanders into his show becomes part of the eternal performance. There is no intermission, no exit, only applause, and the slow, dawning horror that the clapping never stops. Because the show doesn't end when you leave, it ends when he says it ends. And he never forgets a face in the audience. They say every war needs a master of ceremonies, a shadow behind the curtain pulling strings unseen. Ringmaster is that shadow, unbound by allegiance, feared by friend and foe alike. He walks the line between radiant and dire, not as a soldier, but as a force that shapes the battlefield itself. He does not fight for glory, nor for honor. His loyalty lies only in the spectacle. Allies? Only pawns in his grand design. Enemies? Just other players on his stage, destined to fall or rise by his whim. Even the 7 mad gods regard him with wary respect, for he wields chaos not with brute strength, but with cunning precision. When the great city of Velisar burned, he was there, not with sword raised but with a smirk, orchestrating the fall like a tragic play. When armies clashed beneath the shattered skies, he whispered secrets to those who dared listen, secrets that tipped the scales without spilling a drop of his own blood. Rubik once called him a friend, but friendship for Ringmaster is a fleeting illusion, a mask worn briefly before the final act. His voice lines echo this cold calculation. Let the chaos begin. Every show must go on. Your fate is just a trick in my hand. In the grand tapestry of Dota, Ringmaster is the weaver of threads no one sees until the trap snaps shut. He is the hand that sets the pieces in motion, sometimes savior, sometimes executioner, always the master of the game behind the game. The arenas, the battlefields, the war-torn cities, he moves through them all like a ghost, invisible but omnipresent. Whispers of his deeds ripple through the ranks of heroes and villains alike. A legend, both feared and misunderstood. No alliance can claim him, no enemy can predict his next move. In the endless war between radiant and dire, Ringmaster's true allegiance is to himself, and to the eternal performance where every soul is just another player in his never-ending carnival. The stage is set, the audience awaits, and the show goes on. There's far more to Ringmaster than his dazzling performances and charismatic flair. Behind the curtains of his grand circus lies a labyrinth of secrets, whispers and shadows, threads that weave a tapestry far darker than anyone dares admit. Some believe his powers originate not just from showmanship or arcane mastery, but from a forbidden pact with one of the 7 mad gods, entities whose madness warps reality itself. It's said that his rings and illusions are imbued with fragments of their ancient chaos, allowing him to bend minds and break wills. During battles, Ringmaster's gestures and incantations resemble forgotten rituals, once used by cults lost to time. These rites are inscribed in obscure tomes, hidden deep within the deer's forbidden libraries, books bound in human skin, inked with blood and whispered curses. His circus, more than a spectacle, is rumored to be a gathering ground for spies, assassins, and secretive cabals. Beneath the laughter and applause, deals are brokered and alliances forged, alliances that shape wars and topple kingdoms. Ringmaster stands at the center of this web, pulling strings that many don't even know exist. Historians and arcane scholars speculate that Ringmaster is the last descendant of the Arcanum, an ancient order of magicians who sought to control the fabric of reality itself. When the Arcanum fell, their knowledge scattered, yet fragments remained, preserved in Ringmaster's enchanted rings and whispered words. There's also a whispered theory that his flamboyant persona hides a deeper, personal quest, a desire to rewrite a destiny marred by betrayal and loss. Some say the rings he conjures are more than tools of magic. They are keys to unraveling fate's tangled threads, a way to seize control over a cruel and unforgiving world. And yet, the greatest secret might be that the show itself is just a distraction. His true masterpiece, the ultimate trick, has yet to be revealed. When it is, the very foundations of the world may shift, and nothing will ever be the same. In the end, Ringmaster is a paradox, a master of illusion who reveals hidden truths, a jester who commands fear, and a puppet master whose strings touch every corner of the battlefield. His story is still being written, and every act only deepens the mystery.
And so the Ringmaster stands, not merely as a performer, but as a force beyond comprehension, his eyes gleaming with secrets that could unravel worlds. In the silent shadows behind every smile, a storm brews, ready to break and consume everything. He waits, always watching, always calculating. The stage is set, the audience unaware that the final act is yet to come. Who will be the next to fall under his spell? And when the curtain falls, will there be anything left to save? Remember this, the greatest illusion is not what you see, but what you never realize is missing. In the darkness, he still waits, and you already know who he seeks.
If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel. New lore is waiting for you.